The Anyone Can Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Anyone But Can Fantasy Football Podcast. I am one of your hosts and one of your commissioners and one of your division leaders. My name is Frankie. So next to me is Cam. Cam, how's it going?
Wait, why are we doing this podcast right now, Frankie?
What do you mean?
I mean, there's no fantasy football for the next 2 weeks. Nothing matters.
Well, maybe for you.
Yeah.
But Cam, you realize there are 11 other members in our league, right?
Oh, yeah. Those guys.
And at least 9 of us have important games this week.
I mean, we'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how are you doing, Cam? Are you just gonna... Is that it?
I got my resting smug face on,
Uh-huh.
as you know.
We can hear it through the audio.
That's my goal. Just emanate smugness.
Mm-hmm.
Get kicked from chats. That's what I do.
Yeah, alrighty. Great for you, Cam. Glad that you can be smug while I'm over here shaking in my boots about me having to win this week. But we'll get there. We'll start off with a playoff update. Cam's got a bunch of fancy graphs and stuff he posted. We'll talk about all that goodness. Do a waiver discussion, winners and losers. A preview of the Week 13 doubleheader Extravaganza.
Oh, boy.
That'll wrap up the show. How's it sound to you, Cam?
It's going to be a good one.
Let's start off here with a playoff update, see where we are heading into Week 13 and what needs to happen for teams to make it into playoffs.
Yeah, so right now, me and Levi have both secured first-round buys. No matter what happens this week, we're locked in. Justin has locked himself into a playoff spot.
Uh-huh.
His seed can change depending on how things go. Only Jake and Devin can pass him, but he's got playoffs no matter what. It doesn't really matter for him. Jake Logan, he's not locked in, but he needs to lose both of his games. Dylan needs to win both of his games, and Devin needs to win one of his games, and Dylan needs to score 150 more points than Jake Logan in order for Jake to not make playoffs. So I think he's in.
I wonder if what if Logan was in this spot, you know what I mean? And he just really wants consolation really bad.
Uh-huh.
So he benches his entire team and still just gets in because Dylan just can't score 150 points.
Yeah.
That's an alternate reality I'm making up in my head. Some fan fiction.
It'd be a good time. Yeah, but on to the interesting things.
Uh-huh.
Mainly studs and stoners.
We are so interesting as always.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of interesting that so you have a tiebreaker over every team in your division.
Yep.
Lassie has a tiebreaker over every team except for you.
Yes.
Logan has a tiebreaker over JP, but not you and Lassie.
Mm-hmm.
And JP has no tiebreakers.
Yes.
So it's really just, you're basically just seeded already based on tiebreakers. It's not going to be any weird stuff where, one person could be above another, but then below another, like rock, paper, scissors.
Right, yeah.
So that makes things a little easier. Now we know also that 3 of you are 5-7, and Lassie's there at 4-6, still in it. So if you win both your games, you're locked in.
Yes.
Playoffs. Secured. If you win one of your games, and none of the other studs and stoners win 2 games besides Lassie, because he's a game behind, locked into playoffs.
Yep.
And if you don't win any of your games, you can still make playoffs as long as Logan and JP don't win any games and Lassie doesn't win too.
Yes, that's correct.
So, right now, you got the best shot.
I sure do, but it's not great.
Yeah, the simulations say what? They had a 50% chance of making playoffs?
I think it was 55 if I last remember right, but you can check.
Yeah, between 50 and 60.
Yeah.
So then the next team with all the tiebreakers is Lassie, and Lassie needs 2 wins and needs you to have 0 wins.
Right.
And the other teams to not have 2 wins. They can have 1 win or less.
Yep.
So it's not unlikely, but it's definitely going to be a challenge for him.
Yeah.
Logan just needs to have more wins than both you and Lassie to get into playoffs, which, it's Logan, so he can probably do whatever. And then JP just needs to have the most wins in studs and stoners to make playoffs. In the simulations I ran, also, there are some situations where JP and Logan can make playoffs without winning the division. JP can do that 8% of the time, and Logan 0.1% of the time.
Wait, how does Jake get in with 8% of the time?
It needs Dylan to not win games. Or no, it needs Dylan to win 1 game, Devin to win 0 games, and JP to win both of his games and get enough points for in order to pass both Devin and Dylan.
Enough points for to pass Devin and Dylan.
Or I guess just Devin.
Okay, well, yeah, he's right there with Devin and Dylan in points for.
So if Devin doesn't win both his games and JP does and passes Devin in points for, then JP can make it over Devin as a wild card.
That would be wild.
Same with Logan. He has the exact same situation, except he has 40 points for less than Devin, so it's a lot more challenging for him to get that kind of tiebreaker going.
Okay.
And then the other wild card spot, besides JP and Logan getting it, is most likely to go to Devin or Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan will need to win both of his games and Devin to lose both of his games, but Dylan's in a good spot because he plays Devin in one of his games. So as long as that can happen, and Dylan can maintain points, or does he?
Dylan's down points for by about 9.
Yeah, so it's pretty much if he can win both and Devin loses to the other team they play, which is JP, then Dylan can get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
It sure is. Yeah, these there's so many ins, so many ways to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I think what the poker term is. How many outs? I guess it ways to end. How many outs? That's the same thing. Anyways, yeah, that was our playoff update.
Yeah, most likely situation is you win Studs and Stoners. Jake and Devin make the other 2 wild cards along with Justin.
All right.
We'll see if that happens.
Or means the champ will be out. The defending champ is out of the playoffs.
And interesting note, 99% chance Jake Logan makes playoffs for the first time in his fantasy career.
Wow. That's pretty big. That might be the biggest headline so far.
Yeah.
Of this whole thing. Jake making playoffs. So never thought I'd see the day.
It's certainly the most shocking thing to happen.
Alrighty, so that was our playoff update, and let's get into a waiver discussion, which was not super eventful, besides for Cameron, who's just over here flexing his wealth. $79 for a Mr. Jonathan Williams. 77 more than you needed, or 76 more than you needed to secure him. What was your thought process going into that bid?
Yeah, so, Jonathan Williams was a very highly used running back last Thursday, and I very much wanted him because I feel like he is basically the new Marlon Mack. And in order to get him, there were 2 people that had more money than me in this league in Fab, which were JP and Greg.
Mm-hmm.
Both people that I was fairly confident wouldn't actually put in many bids, but still wanted to. Then I just wanted to beat everyone else and their money. So the next highest is Tyler Walker with 78. So I just bid one more than that. So that way the only people that could get him for me were JP and Greg, and they didn't really want him. Which we'll get to JP's roster later, but he definitely should have wanted him.
Yeah. And the next big item here was Dylan, who purchased the Carolina Panthers defense for $30. Next highest bid was JP there at $7. And you didn't know about his percentage of how much his fab.
Yeah, he spent 2/3 of his remaining fab on this defense.
Yeah, if it works out and he makes playoffs, it'll be worth it. But
yeah, it's basically just Dylan saying he needs to make playoffs. He's gonna do whatever he can to. And Carolina Panthers is a solid defensive play this week, but we'll see if it's enough to put him over the top.
Right. Alrighty, and that was about it for the waiver discussion. Yeah, because
that was literally the only
thing
that happened.
All right. And let's go into the winners and losers of last week then.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the winners this week. Cam, you have the losers. We'll start off here with Levi versus Greg. I have Levi's side, unsurprisingly. Starting off with Levi's side, another solid week for him. Starting a Alabama running back stack. Bo Scarborough, a player I had no idea what happened to him or where his career had gone. Getting sandwiched between 2 excellent running backs at his time in Alabama. He also shined in one of his bowl games as well. So he was. I remember thinking he was a very strong running back, and he looked pretty strong for Detroit this week. Had a decent enough fantasy day. Loses 3 points for this lost fumble. Makes it look a lot worse than it was. But 18 carries, 98 yards. That's pretty dang respectable for a guy who, coming off the street, basically. For him. Derrick Henry also went off in the same type of matchup that happened last season, where he went off against Jacksonville later in the season. 27 points. Yeah, it's great for Levi there. Of course, Godwin and Michael Thomas is like ridiculously OP. He has the wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 on the season on his team. They combined for like 55 points. Yeah, that's just that's kind of dumb. Watson bounced back this week. I was talking about last week. Against New England, into Denver, into Tennessee, which are 3 not great matchups for quarterbacks. So I'll have to see if he sticks with him there. Probably will. And then, yeah, in his return, Golden Tate has been, as some might say, great.
Golden great
as he's returned. But he is dealing with, I believe, a shoulder injury. Concussion. Oh, concussion injury. So that's, not practicing today, being Wednesday. So I'll have to monitor that, but he is a pretty solid start for him if we can get him onto the field there. But yeah, that's about all I had for Levi this week.
Yeah, and the only thing that happens more often this season than Greg losing is Levi winning.
Uh-huh.
But Greg lost this week. And not only did he lose, I would say Greg this week got the mother of all Ben McAdoo awards.
I'm gonna coach this team until I'm told I'm not coaching this team. So, gotta show up. Tomorrow morning, ready to go to work.
Greg, it's we could just break down like the thought process here of Matt Ryan versus Tannehill. I mean, Ryan versus Tampa Bay.
Trust the process. I mean, that was the right call going into it. But, oof, Greggy, not the move.
Yeah, that's highly unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Tannehill with 2 rushing touchdowns.
Right.
Ooh.
Ultimately, wouldn't have mattered though.
Yeah.
But still.
If Greg had literally any player on his bench that put up points, it's possible it could have mattered if he had other start sits.
Right.
But literally the only person on his bench that scored points was Ryan Tannehill. Oof. Yeah, but other than that, Greg, you didn't even get the stack for the Calvin Ridley touchdown because they benched Matt Ryan for Matt Schaub when Ridley scored the touchdown. That's kind of sad. And then Chris Carson was basically benched for fumbling so many times in the game. Not looking good for Greg's only good running back.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, Mixon did not get a target in the passing game, which is stupid because that's literally what he's amazing at.
Mm-hmm.
Sanders is just not a good running back. And Kareem Hunt's all right. And the Boyds are back, Frankie.
The Boyds are back?
The Boyds are back in town.
At the cost of Joe Mixon?
Yeah. Greg can't have 2 good things at once.
Yeah, congratulations on your Bengals stack.
Yeah, splitting the 15 points available for all their skill players.
Yeah.
But Andy Dalton's coming back, so I have no idea what that will do to them.
I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, next matchup.
I hope Cincinnati wins the game.
I don't.
We can't have more 0-16 teams.
You want to keep it just like a special thing for your
Lions?
Lions?
I was angry when the Browns got it.
Yeah.
I want to be unique.
So that means you're a big Chargers fan that one season when they went 1-15 and they beat the Chargers just barely.
Big Chargers fan when the Chargers beat the Chargers?
No, and the Chargers beat the Browns.
Oh yeah.
For the 1-15 season.
I mean, I didn't really care back then.
All right, next matchup. The next matchup we have is Justin versus Dylan. Justin winning here. Everyone pretty much popped off on his team this week, or at least did pretty dang well, besides for Noah Fant, which is to be expected. Noah Fant things. He somehow started the right defense this week, even getting -2 points for the Jaguars because the Rams got -6. Yeah, that was great.
Sometimes the right defense is no defense.
Yeah, and then he didn't start him this week, but going along with that Rams thing, Jared Goff has scored 9.32 fantasy points in the last 3 games combined in our fantasy league.
He hasn't scored a touchdown in the United States since week 7.
Yeah, it's yeah. Bad news bears for that Rams. He did get Brandon Cooks back this week, which he didn't start him, which was to be expected. 2 for 4, 32 yards, 4.3 points. I'll talk more about Brandon Cooks later. But yeah, at least somewhat good to have him back. I don't know. I don't have a lot else to say about Justin's team here, but like his players who did well,
Yeah.
Just kind of how it's been. And I guess Jarvis for 2 touchdowns is pretty electric as well. But I mean, they just put up so many gosh darn points against Miami. Somebody had to get them, and it wasn't going to be OBJ. So
No. It's got to be the wide receiver one for the Cleveland Browns, Jarvis Landry.
right.
But the loser of this matchup, a man who really did not want to lose this matchup, Dylan Mikkonen. Aaron Rodgers' nickname is no longer a bum ass. Ever since Dylan gave him that nickname, pretty much, he's been awful.
Yeah.
Like, he got 43 against Oakland. Amazing. 27 against Kansas City. Great. And then the last 3 weeks, not including the bye, 12, 10, and 8.
Those are week killers.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers has had those good weeks, making you think that he was okay. But he's not, Dylan. You should know that.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, Coleman's last 4 weeks has been worse than his single game 5 weeks ago when he got 4 touchdowns against Carolina.
Uh-huh.
So that's not great either. Hopkins, we were talking about it last week about how he's been just consistently getting a lot of catches. An average of 12 catches for 5 games straight. And Will Fuller came back and went down to 6 catches, or 12 targets. Now 8 targets, 6 catches. So that's not the right direction for him to be trending. He got 2 touchdowns, but it's a lot better when he's the only man in town.
Better for him, but worse for the Texans offense as a whole.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. And then Jalen Samuels is dead, so that's sad.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it's such a stupid trade when I traded him away. Thank you, Logan, for pointing that out.
Alrighty. Next matchup here. My matchup this week, myself versus JP. The Ravens stack accounted for about 45% of my points this week, which is just so my season.
Yeah.
I know we talked last year. It's like, what could with Saquon on last team last year? It's like, what could he do on like a good team? What could this Ravens stack do on a good team, man? Like,
yeah,
bro.
You're the only team with this many Ravens that is possibly not going to make it in a playoff.
Yeah, like imagine if I had like a running back.
Yeah.
Or like a wide receiver 1 who was actually the wide receiver 1 for his team.
If like your first 4 picks didn't completely bust.
Yeah, it's like my best receiver is John Brown. It's just like, he's been totally just okay. Yeah, my first 4 picks totally did bust. Yeah. But who guys who didn't bust? Tariq Cohen putting in that good work exactly when I need it.
This is a good week for the do not draft list.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Yeah, exactly what I need, right? I guess my only note on my team, because it was just a kind of a silly week that overall, is that John Brown, OBJ, and James Washington all get touchdowns to really help out their day here. James Washington's touchdown was an absolute bomb. Killer, dude. There were like 3 or 4 tables of Steeler fans, including us, with my dad at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we were popping off when Duck gets in, of course, and then throws that bomb to James Washington. It was amazing. Yeah, I guess my only other note on my team here is that Dallas Goedert gets 7 receptions, and he ends the game with 3.7 points. Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me?
He basically had that just on PPR receptions.
Yeah, like gets that lost a fumble, so it just ruins everything. It's so. Oh, it sucks. I'm starting to agree with your rule change here about not losing a point for a fumble that is recovered. But anyways. Yeah, and that's all I had for my team.
Yeah, and on the other side, JP needed to not lose this game by over 55 points.
Yeah.
And then he would still have a tiebreaker.
Right.
He managed to lose it by 70. 74, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Jesus, man. Mother of all oofs.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of information here that shows me that JP is kind of done playing fantasy football.
Uh-huh.
Considering he started Tom Brady, who, hasn't really been doing well recently. And it was against a good Dallas defense in a stormy conditions.
Yeah. So
why would you do that?
Last time he was above 20 points was against the Redskins in week 5.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And then, he started Royce Freeman, who's just basically a backup running back now.
He wanted to siphon a touchdown from Philip Lindsay, and I feel like it had to be that kind of play. Or maybe he just didn't pay attention. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's hard to siphon a touchdown when the team he plays for literally scored 3 points.
Uh-huh.
And then James White, is That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
More unfortunate things is just his Seattle wide receiver stack combining for 9 points.
Yo, how? I watched the game too. I still don't get it.
Yeah. Seattle still won that game.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Vance McDonald is very bad, and he's no longer on JP's roster.
If only, dude, he would have been so good this year if Big Ben would have been healthy.
Other things, Kalen Balaj is so bad that he's too bad for the Miami Dolphins, and he got benched pretty much. Jesus.
He's still currently on pace for that 2 yards per carry, right?
Yeah. It's not worse.
Yeah, I think it's, let's see, he went 7 for 13. So
yeah, it's a less than 2.
That's less than 2. He's still on pace for the worst yards per carry of all time among qualifying running backs.
And then the Falcons defense is who we thought they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a bad week, JP.
I mean, he had both of his receivers, both of his tight ends, his elite tight ends couldn't play. Had all that bye issues we talked about, but still,
I would say I had comparable bye issues.
Yeah, but your bench is way better than his.
Yeah, that's fair.
So.
JP.
Yeah, not great. Let's move on to the next matchup here. Logan versus Lassie. Logan pulling out a crucial win in his playoff push here. Hey, look, Devontae Adams is startable. 2 weeks in a row.
No way.
2 weeks in a row.
I refuse to believe it.
I mean, he was I guess the bye week in between. But anyways, 2 games he actually played in a row, 15 points in each of them plus. So I think I had the question last week, will he ever be a startable, reliable player? Maybe, if this trend continues. Robbie showing up 2 weeks in a row, finally. Getting that touchdown catch and seeing more targets than Crowder this week, which was kind of curious. But the game's a blowout. It's what a lot of times with blowout games, you kind of just push it aside. Can't take a whole lot of trends from it. But Robbie Anderson does get to play against Cincinnati and Miami next. That's pretty dang juicy. A-Rob's continuing his very solid wide receiver 2 campaign this season. I think he's wide receiver 17 currently in PPR formats. So good there. And I mentioned just briefly earlier about Mr. Will Fuller coming back and being a super important piece for the Texans offense, scoring 17.5 fantasy points this week. Talk a little bit more about Logan's team later and the implications of Will Fuller. But yeah, with Will Fuller back, he is someone you want to start in pretty much every matchups. But yeah, that's about all I had for Logan this week.
Yeah. On the other side, we have Lassie.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember back in the good old days when people thought, hey, Lassie's team's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not looking like that anymore.
Well,
sitting there at 4-8.
That's potential division winner Lassie you're talking about.
Yeah, he's still got a shot with a 330 winning percentage. Jeez. Oh wait, no, it's 33% winning percentage. Okay. Anyways, yeah. He got half of his points just from his quarterback, his kicker, and his defense. So pretty much the most replaceable positions on his team combined for half.
That means he's a good streamer, right?
I mean, yeah, but none of them even did great. He
Yeah.
got 22 from his quarterback, 11 from both his kicker and his defense. You're happy with those for sure.
Sure.
But it's not a ridiculously high thing where it's whoa, that could be a lot of my total points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, Josh Gordon's nickname is He Free. He got 1 catch for 10 yards, 2 targets. He ain't free, man.
Yeah.
Let him go.
He freed David Moore, apparently.
Yeah. Lassie's team, I don't even know if it's, set up well to dominate playoffs, because it's just, it has weeks where it just bombs. So, I mean, not playoffs, consolation, playoffs for people like Logan. He'll be there in that middle, not in the last place game, but not in the first place game.
I mean, he still has Evans, who's a wide receiver 3 on the season, Elliott, wide receiver 6 on the season, and Saquon and Aaron Jones any given Sunday can just go off.
And Melvin Gordon.
Yeah. So, with I have some notes, things to say about Lassie this week we'll get to. But I still think Lassie's roster is pretty solid.
Yeah, it's just has not particulated.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to your matchup this week then. You versus Devin pulling out another win here. Jared Cook gets an eyes emoji from me.
As he deserves.
Yeah, definitely deserves a 6 for 8, 99 yards and a touchdown. That is very, very, very nice from a tight end. Yeah, you're right. Your running backs were good this week. Saw that great touchdown run from Latavius Murray. That stack worked out for you in a way I don't think we expected it to.
I was hoping for it,
Yeah.
but I wasn't expecting it.
Right. If you benched him for, you didn't have any other options.
Yeah.
Actually. But if you had benched him, that would have been such a sad moment.
Yeah.
But it ends up working out. Yeah, your running backs were good. Wide receivers were bad. Cooper Kupp gets the garbage man touches at the end for a somewhat salvageable, somewhat streamable week at 6.5 points. Still not great. Marvin Jones didn't do a whole lot better. I didn't watch a lot of that Detroit game besides for watching some Bo Scarborough highlights. But yeah, I don't know about that. And then for the rest of your team here, what else did I have? Oh yeah, hey, remember that time I cut Joey Sly? And yeah, do you remember what position kicker, what number kicker he was at that point?
Probably number 1.
He was number 1. Where is he now, Cam?
I don't know, like 5.
9.
Ooh.
When I'm saying that, I don't know. I know when I know. You know what I mean? I know when I know.
His bye week.
Yeah.
Alright.
Did you see how badly he missed that kick against the Saints?
that was real sad.
I was like, what did I even see in this player prior to the season? But no,
Yeah.
I saw an available kicker and I said, ooh, I'll pick him up, and it worked out.
Yeah, and the team that I stomped on, as I always do, Devin, had a bad week. Russell Wilson is surprisingly boom bust for quarterback 2 on the season. Because, he's got some very nice weeks in there with 39, 28, 29, 41.
Yeah.
But then some not so nice ones like 12, 14, 15, 8. So it's that's probably what you want on your team when you're going into playoffs because you just want them to get hot.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also lead to weeks like this where he just tanks your team a little bit.
Yeah.
Devin Singletary he got a lot of work, which is good. But he does not really score touchdowns right now. And that's kind of what you want running backs to do. Speaking of touchdowns, there were 2 touchdowns on Devin's team combined, even if you include quarterback passing touchdowns.
Yikes.
Yeah, just Zach Ertz caught 1 and Russell Wilson threw 1. So it's not a great week for Devin's team.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you going to get when you start Nakeem Hines, the backup running back for the Colts?
Mm-hmm.
Start Alshon Jeffrey, who didn't even play. Yeah, Todd Gurley also got a lot of work, but he averaged -1 yards per target in the receiving game, which is very anti what Todd Gurley used to be.
Yeah.
Sad to see. Also sad to see is Kenny G is bad now, because the Lions' offense is bad. Used to be the one good thing about the team. But now we're going to start David Blough. Anyways.
Can't wait for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's an early game.
We're all sleeping through it.
No, we're playing football.
Wait, when's the game start?
I actually have no idea. I don't care.
I mean, I think I'm sleeping post football.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, but Corin Sutton is a very good football player. Kyle Allen. Oh wait, no, Brandon Allen.
Brandon Allen
is very bad. So that does not make Courtland Sutton good for fantasy football. It's kind of the same with Kenny G, but
you got 8 targets.
Yeah.
1 catch.
Oof.
Yeah.
A little over 3 yards per target.
Yeah, I mean, I think I talked to last week I talked to Upset a bunch of how high I was on him last season and how much it's starting to work out this season, and then 3.2 points.
Yeah. Huh. If this was one of Dylan's idea for a negative point per target league, that would have been brutal.
That would have been so bad.
Yeah, and Devin started a stupid defense. Stupid.
Alrighty, let's get into the last matchup of last week then. Jake versus Tyler. Jake pulling out a good win here. Amari and Cameron Brate blanked, goosed, however you want to say it, and he still scored 125 points on the week. Jake, stop starting Tampa Bay tight ends. I don't get it. You got to give it up, my guy. Other notes on Jake's team here. DJ Moore clearly clearly the wide receiver one for Carolina. Not that it hadn't been somewhat clear earlier in the season, but any kind of narrative whatsoever about Curtis Samuel is just completely gone at this point. Lenny scores 2 touchdowns this week, which brought his total on the season to 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
So, the regression kicked in. He's going to hope for some more regression this week against one of the better run defenses in the league in Tampa Bay. I don't have a whole lot so Jake's team here. Players who have been performing at about the same level they've been performing this whole season. Patriots defense, a little bit of an underperformance against Dallas, but still 9 points for defense. You will take that in most given weeks. It's about... I have a note about Josh Allen as well, but I'll bring that up later. Yeah, I'll leave that for next segment.
All right. On the other side, Tyler, who lost, not by 49-0. So way to go, Tyler. David Montgomery, he was so good like 4 weeks ago when he scored 20 points 2 weeks back to back.
Yeah.
And now he hasn't scored more than 6 points in the last 3 weeks.
Yikes.
But he'll hope to bounce back in a game where the Bears possibly blow out the Lions. So we'll see what happens.
With what offense? Montgomery?
I mean, the Lions made Trubisky look good last time they played.
Okay.
Threw 3 touchdowns and 170 yards. But Nick Chubb is a very good running back. Nothing really to say there.
I'm laughing because 3 touchdowns, 100 yards. That's a Lamar Jackson line, but it's Trubisky's.
I mean, it's because they played against Driscoll, who gave him a 20-yard field at one point. Chubb is very good, but really just him and Devontae Parker are the only bright spots in Tyler's team. His team's kind of dropping like flies with T.Y. Hilton playing limited, Julio Jones not practicing right now. It's a rough season for Tyler, but he'll hope to bounce back next year.
Yeah, he's out of playoff hopes, but consolation is calling his name. Yeah.
Hopefully his team's not too dead for it. Dude, A.J. Green's been on his team all year.
Yeah, I know,
so
right?
sad.
I think he has Stafford in his IR now too.
Yeah.
That's the end of the review. Now into the preview, the meat of this episode, where we talk about the Week 13 doubleheaders, 3-way matches going here. We'll start off here with Jake versus Justin versus Lassie. This is Jake Logan we're talking about to start off here. Not currently rostering a tight end. So
it's a big brain move.
I'm not sure how he's going to remedy that, or if he's going to remedy that, but it seems like it'd be in his best interest to probably remedy that. I mentioned a little bit earlier, Leonard Fournette has a real bad matchup this week, but how could you possibly bench him after last week? I couldn't do it, I don't think. And I would die for an actual running back on my team too. But anyways, Amari in danger of being blanked again this week against let me remember Buffalo, that's right. Bad matchup there for sure, and they can really just focus on him again if they want to. What I was going to mention earlier about Jake's team and saving it for now is Josh Allen, I've been talking about the last couple of weeks, entering a real rough stretch. Did well against Buffalo, better than I think I expected for
Josh Allen played well against Buffalo? He does beat his own team a lot, that's for sure.
Denver. Which I was expecting to be just, good enough there. But he does now ending his fantasy season playing against Dallas, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and New England. I don't think there's a worse stretch for any quarterback in the league. There can't be.
Yeah.
That is so bad.
Yeah.
That is awful. So I'll have to see if he wants to pivot, but I have to think he probably sticks with him for now. Not sure.
It's a Jake thing to do.
Yeah. Let's move over to Justin's side here. Estarn and CMC should go off this week. They have great matchups for themselves here against Washington for CMC and then Cincinnati for Darnold. Should be good stuff for him there. I mentioned talking a little bit earlier about Brandon Cooks. Came back from his second concussion of the season last week. Had minimal production. He is playing against Arizona this week, which is about as juicy as a matchup as you can get. But I don't even know if you can begin to start to trust him enough to that he's going to get production and stay healthy in a game like this. And he has other options. He's starting here is Cole Beasley against Dallas, which is also not a great matchup at all. Juice versus Pittsburgh should be fine enough. Should be like okay. And then Terry versus Carolina, who knows with him. So I don't love a lot of the options he has there for his receiving flex roulette he has going on there. And then, yeah, with Hooper out again this week, I believe he's already been ruled out. Fant has a good matchup, but who knows with Noah Fant? We'll see if both of them maybe make a play for a tight end this week in the waivers. We'll have to see. Lassie is last in this matchup here. Lassie has an embarrassment of riches this week at the running back position. If I could find his team. There we go. Saquon versus Green Bay. That's real good. Yeah. Aaron Jones versus the Giants. That's pretty dang good.
Nice.
Ronald Jones versus Jacksonville.
Ooh.
That's really nice. Melvin Gordon versus Denver. That's not so bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And he can start all of them. Like that's pretty. Or wait, no, he can't. No, you can't start another running back in your other flex. Ooh, we'll have to talk about that. Yeah, he actually has some decisions to make there, so you can only start 3 of them.
I'm benching Ronald Jones. Feels pretty.
Yeah, I'll have to make note of that we're all squared away there, because there were some issues last week with some people, and ultimately didn't matter in the matchups, but I'll have to let him know that he has to fix that. Anyways, he has 4 running backs in good to great matchups this week. A real embarrassment of riches. Mike Evans slumping a bit recently in the last 3 weeks, being held scoreless. That's definitely a big part of it. But just like overall, if you look at his team, he has like arguably the best like spread of matchups like all the way around for all of his starting players. Like there's nothing I'm super afraid of if I'm anyone here on his roster. So I think Last is kind of good. We should probably pick who we think is gonna like win each of these matchups too, huh?
Yeah, because they're important.
Right. So when I was going through this earlier, I think that I'm just going to go ahead and say I think Lassie wins both.
Wow.
I think Lassie's the highest scorer. I think Justin's number 2 and Jake's number 3. I think you could argue Justin number 1, Lassie 2, but other than that, I think Jake is pretty clearly number 3 so far.
Let me just look over Jake's team really quick. Okay. I have completed looking over Jake's team. Ooh, he's kicker flexing. Alright. I have decided that Justin will win, Jake will come in second, and Lassie will lose.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because of the kicker flex?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But not enough to put him over the top.
Mm.
But, like, Jake Elliott versus Miami, intangibles, boom boom kicker of the week. Come on.
Alrighty.
However, our next matchup is Tyler Walker versus Levi versus you, Mr. Frankie Redfern.
Yep.
And
you really skipped over Levi's last name there.
Yeah, I don't want to say it. It's hard to say.
Simono?
Yeah. Is it Simon or Simino?
Simono.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, nobody knows. Anyways, this really only matters for you. Everyone else is kind of locked into where they are.
Actually, though.
But for Tyler, we'll start with him. I really don't like his quarterback options this week. He's got whoever quarterbacks for San Francisco.
Jimmy G.
Yeah, and also Jacoby Brissett. So both the Patriots backups on his team.
Ooh.
Neither with good matchups this week, though.
Yeah.
But he's got David Montgomery, who's looking to rebound versus Detroit. And if there's a game to do it, probably be this one. If not now, then when? But he's got a lot of questions with his with his studs. Julio Jones and
Julio goes in the stubs category this season.
Yeah, pretty much. Him and T.Y. are both injured or recovering or kind of nursing injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And Chubb has a bad matchup playing against Steelers this week. So he's not really in a great spot to play spoiler. He's projected for only 96 points, but that's because he currently is starting Eric Ebron, who's on IR. You can throw T.J. Hawkinson in there, who might not play this week too. Yeah, not a great spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
And Devontae Parker's playing Philly, but Philly's got a good defense now. What's he gonna do? Next, though, we have Levi. Levi has 2 really bad matchups this week with Deshaun Watson versus New England and Derrick Henry versus Indianapolis. But both of those players are good enough that you could see them overcoming those bad matchups and still producing pretty well. Other than that, he's got a lot of good stuff going on. He has Thomas, Godwin, Kelsey, all in very nice boom spots, and Crowder has a very solid option as well against Cincinnati. He's also starting Sammy Watkins, who I get is playing Oakland, but he's Sammy Watkins.
I don't care. That's so bad.
Yeah. But, I mean, when you're Levi and you have Michael Thomas playing Atlanta and Chris Godwin playing Jacksonville and Travis Kelce playing Oakland.
Who made the schedule?
The schedule gods. Yeah. So, the team looking to overcome Levi's daunting amazingness is you, Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
And you have pretty good matchups all around, except for your studs on your team, which are everyone that plays for Baltimore, as well as John Brown.
Yeah.
Because that Baltimore game is in San Francisco. No, it's in Baltimore against San Francisco, so that's a little better. But San Francisco's got a very solid defense, but, you know, it's Baltimore who basically pays the punter to stand on the sideline and look pretty. Yeah, but otherwise, Philip Lindsay versus the Chargers is good. Tariq Cohen versus Detroit is good. Dallas Goedert versus Miami is good. But all of those players, you could also just kind of see not being part of the game plan and kind of getting put to the side. Like, Philip Lindsay's definitely going to get touches, but they could be just not valuable touches in the middle of the field without really many scoring opportunities or targets. So, there's a lot of variance going on here. Because you could easily see Lamar Jackson and John Brown still going off in the bad matchups and playing really well, getting a lot of points. And then also your fringe players with good matchups doing really well as well. Or you could see the matchup being too much for Baltimore, and then the fringe players is not really being used and score like 50 points. So it's nervous.
Yeah, and I have some decisions to make with flex-wise. Like, I don't know if I'm going to start Dallas Goedert this week. I do get Robert Woods back this week against Arizona, which will be pretty nice. And then I could start one or both of these Giants receivers. Probably not starting Juju this week, who is dealing with his concussion into a knee injury, which is just disgusting. Dante Freeman coming back this week. My roster is currently locked because of him. But he's playing against New Orleans on a Thursday night. So
No, it's in Atlanta.
So I have to make the decision soon.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking forward to making that decision soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might just hit the bench because Jonathan Hill might just have a better split back role now with him back. Against New Orleans is so bad.
Are you thinking about playing for upside or safety?
I think that I win this. I think I make the playoffs this week if I win one of my games.
Yeah.
And so I don't know because I think I can beat Tyler.
Yeah. If I were you, I'd definitely play for safety. Like,
so
I'd probably bench James Washington.
Oh, I'm not playing James Washington yet.
Okay.
Probably not. Well, I could.
Well, like, if you were going for upside, I'd totally understand playing him. Because, like, he's good at getting long catches for touchdowns.
I mean, it's like I'm probably. I don't know if can I bench John Brown. Like, I just feel like, can I do it? I'm gonna have to do like an actual deep dive on like how Dallas has done this season, specifically against like team wide receiver ones, and like see like how that's performed. Because like I'm so afraid. Yeah.
Don't get too cute.
I know. I gotta trust the process. As someone who's a pretty trust the process person, and it really bit me in the butt earlier this season. It's really worked out the last month, so maybe the process needs to be trusted more.
Don't get owned.
Yeah. Alrighty, and then let's get. You ready?
Should we pick it though?
Oh, we should pick it.
I feel like we're gonna get the same thing though.
Go ahead.
Levi, Frankie, Tyler.
That's how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
That's how it has to be. If I beat Levi, if I make it into playoffs beating Levi, that would be so hype. Like, obviously Levi's already lost the game.
Yeah.
But it means like, hey, like studs and centers are coming.
All right. I mean, it's not like Levi's team is really going to be putting their all in there. You know, it might be resting some starters.
Well, I don't know about
Make
that.
sure they're nice and fresh. For
You know what, Levi?
run.
Go ahead and do that. Bench him. No problem with me.
Oh, so you're saying that's fine?
Well, you know, what's really a starter?
All right. I'll keep that into mind.
No, come on. All right, chill out here. All right, buddy.
Maybe I don't want Logan to make
All
constellations.
right, buddy. Here we go. Let's chill out here. Let's talk about your matchup next week.
All
You're
right.
playing. Let's move on. All right, now you have a Battle of the Williams on your team this week. I should say, this matchup is you versus Logan versus Greg. Starting off with you, Jamal versus Jonathan Williams, who you paid a pretty penny for this week. To decide between probably one of the two. I'm not going to start both, I don't think.
It's actually very frustrating because now I have to look at the team to figure out who they actually are because they both just say Jay Williams. So I might start the wrong one.
So
on accident.
frustrating. Wow.
Yeah.
What a life.
I shouldn't have done it.
Moving on. Kittle is allergic to practice and he has a bad matchup this week, but it's Kittle, so who cares?
Maybe I bench him for Cook. I don't know.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the most terrible thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
Other than that, you have just so many good matchups this week. It's kind of dumb and that makes me frustrated and sad. But yeah, you also don't have a defense currently.
Yeah, I don't know if I want a defense.
Cool.
Oh wait. Never mind.
Cam,
I have thoughts.
what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just planning for 2 weeks in the future because that's all I really care about.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I have to decide if I want to draw people now or in the future.
Right. All right. Next, we have Logan here, who I mentioned earlier. Lassie has maybe the best matchup spread of the week. You have really matchup spread of the week. Logan's matchup spread is insane. It's so good. The only thing is his quarterback is a terrible matchup against Buffalo, which is it really caps your upside a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if he's going to go away from Dak. I can't believe he will. I do think. Oh, he actually, but in between the time of me writing my notes and to recording this podcast, he subbed the Jets defense in, which I predicted he was going to do. And I was shut out here. Not the most crazy prediction of my life. But yeah, so many great matchups this week for him. Just defense, obviously the good play of the three defenses he has, or at least had. And I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I wonder if Will Fuller is in consideration for a flex play this week. I'm not really sure what he's thinking here. I mean, he had a really great week last week, and when Fuller is in, he plays electric most of the time. But he's playing against New England, so maybe I just want to stay away from those bad matchups because he still have Robbie Anderson against Cincinnati, A-Rob versus Detroit, and then DJ Chark against Tampa Bay, and Devontae Adams versus the Giants. So just it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
I don't know who I'd 7 Will Fuller for.
Yeah,
this team.
Right.
Oh my God, he's Gerald Everett versus Arizona.
Yeah,
LMAO.
It's ridiculous. And then on Greg's side of the ball here, if Jordan Howard comes back this week, could screw up his RB decision. When they play together, generally, it's the word for Miles Sanders isn't as great fantasy wise. They did both go off against Buffalo a couple weeks ago though, so could be repeating. Although Buffalo's run defense is just terrible. Matt Ryan is historically pretty up and down against the Saints. When he plays them, I think he was up this season. I'll double check on that. He scored 14.58 points against them earlier this season, which is pretty good. Not gonna kill you, but not gonna be great either. He hasn't had a great game against them, I think, in a season or two. But it could happen for sure. Cam was talking earlier about Chris Carson and his fumbles and basically getting benched. He's probably going to see a reduced role this week. I know we had a quote from the Sleeper Alert about Carroll saying that be more of a split back role with him and Rashard Penny, which makes sense after we saw what Rashard Penny did with his limited touches. And they're playing against Minnesota this week. That gets a big old yuck from me for Greg's side here. So if we're going to pick this game here, Greg is obviously number 3.
Yeah.
No question about it. I'm going to take another look at your team real quick because I'm not sure if I'm picking you to win over. Yeah. Okay. Cam 1, Logan 2, Greg 3. Mostly because of how bad that matchup I think is going to be for Dak.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many points to have. I think it's gonna be closer between you and Logan, but I think I'm probably gonna give you the edge.
If you're me, do you start Drew Brees versus Atlanta or Jameis Winston versus Jacksonville?
Against Jacksonville.
Yeah. Asking for a friend.
I mean, short week Drew Brees, Jameis Winston versus Jacksonville, Jalen Ramsey less Jacksonville.
Got lit up by Tannehill.
Are you going for upside or are you going for safety?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think they're pretty comparable.
Yeah.
What does Fantasy Pros have them as? Drew Brees number 3 and Jameis number 7.
Really? Take it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like Drew Brees has like quarterback one upside this week. I don't know if Jameis does,
Yeah.
and I think they're both pretty safe otherwise. So probably Drew Brees.
Okie dokie.
But hey, this is division leader Frankie talking about. I've only won like 5 games this season, so I guess move on to the next matchup. Then.
Yep. Our matchup of the week.
It's
because
back.
This one has the most significant implications, in my opinion, with Dylan, Devin, and JP all on the edge of making playoffs or not making playoffs. Starting with Dylan. Dylan needs to win both games in order to make playoffs. And Dylan is not in a good spot to do that. He's still starting Aaron Rodgers, even though we established his bumness, but he is playing the Giants, so maybe he won't be as much of a bum. We'll find out. He's got Carlos Hyde and DeAndre Hopkins in that New England matchup that we already talked about. Not a spot you want to be playing in a must-win game.
Right.
You talked about how scary it is for Dak playing Buffalo.
Yeah.
Dylan has Gallup versus Buffalo.
Yep.
Darren Waller and the Oakland Raiders are playing in Kansas City, where Derek Carr has historically struggled, but they might be playing catch-up a lot, so there's a lot of variance that could happen there with Waller. Currently starting Adam Thielen in, coming off the injury, currently still questionable. That's very scary against Seattle, too, who has been playing decent on defense recently. And, I mean, just Curtis Samuel in general. Like, do you really want to start that?
No.
He does have the Carolina Panthers, though, that he spent $30 for the defense playing Washington. They're, like, guaranteed 10-plus points, IMO.
Yeah.
But everyone else is guaranteed, like, could be less than 5.
Right.
Tevin Coleman, I didn't even say him against Baltimore. There's not a single person I feel confident about it besides the defense. Like, even Aaron Rodgers against the Giants, they could just run the ball a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Also, I'm a kicker.
Dylan, you know kickers are the most important part of our fantasy league. He still has Olabisi on his team.
And he's like a good luck charm, right?
Yeah. Oh, God. Start A.J. Brown. You need upside.
Uh-huh.
And Marquise Brown.
Ooh.
And Tony Pollard.
Ooh. And Jalen Samuels.
Pick up, Benny Snell? Or did Levi pick up? Seems like someone Levi would pick up. Anyways, moving on to Devin. Devin needs to get at least 1 win here to feel good about making playoffs, but 2 would be great for him. And he's in a good spot for that, because, as we always say with Devin, he's got that Eagle stack, and that Eagle stack is playing against Miami this week.
Yeah.
And then also Todd Gurley, playing against Arizona. Could be alright. They want to use him a lot. Otherwise, though, both Kenny Golladay and Courtland Sutton, as we talked about, are very good wide receivers with very bad quarterbacks and are even worse matchups right now. He's still starting Naheem Hines for some ungodly reason.
He has a secured role as the backup running back for the Colts, no matter what happens.
Oh, yeah. That's solid 7 points right there.
Hey, that's James White numbers right there, almost.
Almost. You gotta hope for it. Because that Indianapolis-Tennessee game is going to establish the run so hard. Oh, my God.
Testosterone overflowing.
Anyways, he's also got Devin Singletary. He's pretty good. Yeah, he's not going to get 30 points on a week, but he'll get you 10, 15.
Yeah.
So that's solid. Yeah, but the Eagles versus Miami stack is really what Devin has going for him this week. What JP has going for him this week is that Patrick Mahomes is back.
Hey.
Thank God that he could double JP's score from last week all by himself.
I hope not.
Against Oakland?
For my sake.
Who knows? But then he's still starting Royce Freeman and James White as his running backs. Jesus. They could get maybe 15 points. And he'd be very happy with
Talk
that.
about backup running backs. Like,
Yeah.
And then David Johnson now. Hey.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
He's not even starting. I don't know if he should start him. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And we talked about how Derek Carr struggles in his division game in Kansas City. Phillip Rivers also often struggles in Denver, which is where Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry will be playing this week, so I don't feel like there's a lot of upside there. Probably won't be a very high-scoring game. Probably would just run the ball a lot, because I don't know if... I think Drew Lock might be playing, so are they really going to score points? Yeah, I mean, that Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Larry Fitzgerald are really where the upside comes in for JP. Lockett and Metcalf playing against Minnesota, who has an awful secondary, especially on the road. And Fitzgerald at home against the Rams could be good. You never really know. But, dude, get another defense. Falcons versus New Orleans. Last time they played New Orleans, they probably did good. I don't know. They got 9 points. They're not going to do that again. They got 9 sacks. I'm like,
When they wait,
no, they got 6 sacks.
how many? It was like six. Those was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
3.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's post bye.
Yeah.
Okay, well, could be similar then.
But, I mean, like, now New Orleans sees the new defense. And they're like,
Yeah.
It's not a surprise anymore.
We'll have to see if Sean Payton makes his last push for Coach of the Year and can outcoach that defense.
I would bet on it,
Yeah.
personally.
Uh-huh.
And my team is betting on it
Uh-huh.
right now. So, while this is the matchup of the week, I really don't feel good about many of the teams.
It's matchup of the week, but it's like also like the worst matchup of the week.
If I had to bet on which would be the lowest scoring cumulative points, would it definitely be this one? Yeah, it'd definitely be this one.
Yeah.
So, but if I had to pick it, Devin, because of that Eagle stack, is who I had to pick first. Jesus Christ. I guess JP and then Dylan.
Uh-huh.
But if I had to bet that all these teams would score over 100 or under 100, I would take under 100 easy.
I can't wait for JP to score like 30 less points than me, win both of his games, and beat me out for playoffs. I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing.
Pretty wild.
It's going to be so good. I'm going to quit the league.
He underscores you in the last 2 weeks by like 100 points,
Uh-huh.
but you still lose playoffs.
I see it. I see it happening.
JP puts in the chat, yo, wait, I made playoffs?
Oh,
and this is on Thursday.
Uh-huh.
Love you, JP.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'm going to agree with what you said there for the picks.
Yeah.
And that was our preview of this upcoming week.
Mhm.
Week 13, the final push to playoffs.
Oh, boy.
And in the beginning of the show, I didn't mention that we have a mailbag because we didn't have a mailbag question at that point, but we do now. Levi wrote in to the sleeper chat, which is in no way a DM to either of us or an email.
At least he's doing something. He said mailbag at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Who's the biggest surprise and letdown this season? Now, when you phrase it like that, I don't know if you mean fantasy player, fantasy owner. Like, I don't...
I mean, I just took it as what team was the biggest surprise.
Okay. I was thinking player, but team makes sense too.
I mean, if you want to go with player, I can go with team.
No, I mean, the biggest surprise player, I mean, it's...
L-Jax.
It's probably it, although I'm not... I'm obviously surprised by how good he was,
Yeah.
but I always thought he was going to be good. I mean, of the NFL, like Lamar Jackson is definitely the pick there.
Yeah.
Team has been the biggest surprise and letdown, so I guess like surprise in a good way, and then letdown. I mean, we sunk Jake Logan's team to start the season, right?
Yeah, we definitely did.
I feel like we sunk Justin's team too. So that's probably a big surprise, I'd say. Or the biggest surprise. Biggest letdowns though, I mean, Dylan's team we had ranked pretty high. The rankings are my team's been a letdown by all accords just because of like the early and mid season like unluckiness. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that you did well. I'm not surprised that Levi's team did well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not shocked that Tyler's team did poorly. I'm not shocked that Greg did poorly. And everyone else was kind of in the middle there. Besides for like Justin, I'm surprised Justin's done as well as he's done.
Yeah, I would say Lassie is surprised letdown.
Yeah.
And then Justin and Jake Logan surprised good teams.
Yeah. All right. And that's all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Innova Camp Festival podcast. I've been Frankie.
And I am by Holden, playoff making, top 4 secured team, Cam Van Sant.
Okay.
3 years in a row.
Oh my
Of
god.
top 4.
I can't wait. I
Guaranteed.
cannot wait for you to lose again in playoffs. It's gonna be
It's
amazing.
guaranteed to happen
Hey,
as well.
I was thinking about this earlier. I actually have 2 things to say. I was going to say something way earlier. I'll mention at the very end. But Cam, you compared your team and your like fantasy career in the ABC League to one of Ash Ketchum.
Yeah.
Do you know what Ash Ketchum did in this last season of Pokemon Sun and Moon?
He
won
Elite
the Elite. He won the Pokemon Championships. Cam, this might be your time.
Don't put that evil on
I
me.
might be putting the evil on you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say way earlier. Maybe I'll add this in. It's in the middle part, but we talked about how bad of a week JP had.
Oh, yeah.
JP scored 48.6 points this week. Now, last season, the worst game ever was recorded at 44.94 points by my team. Cam, JP started an entire another player than I did because of how we added another whole slot this week. So, with that, 4-point discrepancy, less than that, I have to say that JP is now currently the record holder of the worst season of all time. At 2 wins and like 2 wins and like a bajillion losses a couple years ago, and the single worst week of all time in the ABC League.
JP.
And he still might win the division.
Might make playoffs. Still got a shot at that championship.
Hasn't scored over 100 points in 3 weeks, and has scored 100 points once in the last 6 weeks. Yeah, and that'll do it. We'll catch you guys next week when I'll be on this podcast probably crying. See you then.
Too real.